Field, they play soccer.
We could all use those.
Everyone's got a football nation.
Proverbs, they're so true. Proverbs teach us what to do. Proverbs help us all to be better Mouseketeers. Anybody remember that song on the Mickey Mouse Club? It was a part of that program so long ago, the value of Proverbs. We love Proverbs today. It's an ancient form of teaching, but we still love Proverbs because of their teaching ability. You know many Proverbs. A bird in the hand, worth two of the bush. If it's Chuck, it's been killed. Yeah, the dog brought it. Birds in the hand because the dog just brought it. Yeah. Golfing, drive for show, putt for dough. Every area of life has these proverbs. So we're going to study the book of Proverbs and talk about some of the reasons it's a little challenging to study the book of Proverbs. As we do so, the Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel. The proverb, the Hebrew word mashal, means parallel or similar, and we'll talk about that in the extent of sharing knowledge. Solomon was king of Israel from 970 to 931 BC, approximately 40 years. You recall Solomon's his reign as he began. 1 Kings chapter 3, he was very overwhelmed, as he should have been. And he prayed that the God would bless him with an upright heart. Give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong. For who is able to govern this great people of yours? The Lord was pleased that Solomon had asked for this. So God said to him, since you have asked for this, and not for long life or wealth for yourself, nor have asked for the death of your enemies, but for discernment in administering justice, I will do what you've asked. I will give you a wise and discerning heart, so that there will never have been anyone like you, nor will there ever be. The discerning heart, the heart is a big part of the book of Proverbs. Everything starts there with our attitude. Never be anyone like you, nor will there ever be. Of course, what great act of wisdom did Solomon demonstrate right after this, that he's famous for? Took the sword, cut the kid in half. Well, that wasn't just wisdom. It was from the heart. He understood human nature, and that's such a big part of working with people in any position. God said there never has been anyone like you, nor will there ever be. That's quite a statement. 1 Kings 4, we see that really was the case. God gave Solomon wisdom and very great insight, and a breadth of understanding as measureless as the sand on the seashore. Solomon was not a war king, he was a building king, and because he was not always at war like his father was, he had time to really pursue these things. And he did. He really did. Solomon's wisdom was greater than the wisdom of all the men of the East, greater than the wisdom of Egypt. He was wiser than any other man, including Ethan the Ezrahite. And we know how wise he was. Wiser than Heman, Kelkal, and Darda, the sons of Mahal. And his fame spread to all the surrounding nations. He spoke 3,000 proverbs, and his songs numbered 1,005. He described plant life from the cedar of Lebanon to the hyssop that grows out of walls. He also taught about animals and birds, reptiles, and fish. Men of all nations came to listen to Solomon's wisdom. So he spent a lot of time lecturing on various things that he had expertise in, sent by all the kings in the world who heard of his wisdom. We have in the book of Proverbs only 600 of those 3,000 proverbs. Although the title is the Proverbs of Solomon, we know that in the book even they're designated as Proverbs of the Wise, of Agur and Lemuel. Solomon did not generate all these proverbs, but he collected them because they promoted wisdom. Proverbs teaches practical wisdom for godly living. It rarely deals with salvation or worship. It lacks gospel, except really for one verse that we'll see this morning. Proverbs are not prophecies, they express principles. So studying the book of Proverbs makes you wise, gives you opportunities to be more successful in life, that's true. But then you read Ecclesiastes and you get the full picture. The Proverbs, you read those and you might find out, well, if I do this, that always happens. Well, we know in life that's not the case. And some things you just can't fix, you know. What is twisted cannot be straight, and so on. So they are principles, but it's just like coming up with planting season. You know, if you plant nothing, you know you're going to get nothing for sure. If you plant something, you may get a harvest. They are observations about life. We could call them common sense. An unbeliever could read this and gain value from it for their earthly life. They provide advice about wise ways to live and warnings against foolish ways to live. At other times, they offer observations about how things are in the world, not directions about the way they should be, which is helpful, isn't it? You need to know the lay of the land, how things really work, that kind of thing. And so an unbeliever can study this book and get value from it, but we're believers, and so we're going to be studying it from a spiritual perspective, and that will be brought out very strongly. The sinful nature is never stated so as in so many words in Proverbs, but there's warning after warning after warning. Well, why do you need a warning? Because you might do it, right? So it identifies the sinful nature as the cause. The striking feature of Proverbs is a frequent use of the word heart. Although the book deals with human behavior, it's constantly pointing to the source of that behavior, the condition of the heart. If there is to be true godly change in outward behavior, it must start from within the heart. The book of Proverbs is Hebrew poetry. What is Hebrew poetry? It's not like English poetry, which is about rhyme and those kind of word patterns. Hebrew poetry we see in the Psalms with the use of the Hebrew alphabet, which cannot be translated into English. You cannot mimic it with a translation. You just can't. But another aspect of Hebrew poetry is parallelism. A statement is made, and then it's followed up with another statement that either states it in a different way slightly, takes it to a different level, or states the opposite. We'll see that with many variations. I have basic underlined and in bold because there's many variations of this. And you can actually sometimes take them in different ways. Synonymous parallelism. A false witness will not go unpunished. He breathes lies and will not escape. Basically just restating the same thing in different words. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. The positive, the negative. And synthetic. A person who is gracious to the Lord, the poor, lends to the Lord. What you do to help people also affects your relationship with the Lord. Okay, that's a truth. He will repay him in full. Well, that adds to it, doesn't it? It's not just that it connects you to God, but God responds with repayment. And in some cases, there's no apparent parallelism as well. Verses from the book of Proverbs are quoted at least 20 times in the New Testament, though. And one example, which is a fun one for kids, is Proverbs 26:11, as quoted by Peter in his second epistle, chapter 2. Anybody know what it is? How about this? As a dog returns to its vomit. Kids love that. As a dog returns to its vomit, so the sinner repeats his folly. It's a graphic picture which shows, again, the effect of sin. We are grossed out by a dog eating its vomit. But sinners go back to their same sins over and over again. We're not grossed out by that. That's the sad truth. And Peter takes that and he applies it to the church. He says, those people who were Christians, but then turned away from Christ, he says, as it says, the dog returns to its vomit. They go back to their old ways, and there's a judgment for that. Outline. Sort of yes and sort of no. Chapters 1 through 9 are really invitations to seek wisdom, be teachable. That's really what those chapters are about. It's out there. It's yours if you receive it. But then we have many chapters which are just bang, 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 proverb after proverb after proverb. They don't necessarily have a flow. Sometimes they do, but often they don't. So why might modern Bible students not be drawn to the regular study of Proverbs?
Well, those first 9 verses would be considered sexist.
Might be, well, unfortunately, that's true, because,
Seriously.
yes, no, you're right, that's true. It's addressed to sons.
Yeah.
It's true. The other reasons,
There's the demise of the study of the Old Testament as
in
many
general,
churches in the
in general,
18 and
yeah.
1900s,
Uh-huh. Yeah,
they were like, we're the New Testament. We don't need the Old Testament.
and because it doesn't have gospel in it,
Yeah.
that can lead people to do that. But it is wisdom for this life, If you don't have it, you've wasted that resource. The other issue is the format. We are trained to be topical and linear. You got a theme, and then you got parts, and then you move on, up and down. Proverbs is circular. I'm going to talk about this, and I'm going to talk about it again, same exact thing or slightly different, because these are people that did not have books. They didn't have the text. So repetition is the mother of learning. If you're just listening, well, you got to keep repeating it. So it's a style that's a little frustrating for the modern person. So for any number one of those reasons, it is sometimes neglected. But again, it's a resource God has given us to become wiser in how we live. We will be studying this topically according to the 10 Commandments. We're going to look at some of the Proverbs as they apply to first, second, third commandment each week. But for today, we're just going to look at chapter 1 with its invitation, explanation, and so on. The Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel. To learn wisdom and discipline, to understand sayings that give insight, to acquire righteousness, justice, and fairness, to give good judgment to the inexperienced, to give a young man knowledge and foresight. A wise person should listen, and he will increase learning. A person with understanding should obtain guidance, so he will understand Proverbs' puzzling statements and the thought-provoking words of the wise. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but stubborn fools despise wisdom and discipline. So why does Solomon want us to study this book? Verse 2, what is he offering us? And what? Yeah, understanding, wisdom, and how does that fit together? With what other term does he use? Discipline. This is not, like studying theoretical physics. This is knowledge that you take this in, you're going to be able to discipline yourself in life. You're going to be able to effectively use this. You're going to have insights on how the world is, how people are, and how to live in that setting. What about verse 3? What is Solomon offering us? Yeah. So you look at verse 2, you could say, well, that's kind of like street smarts, right? The ability to live in the world. Verse 3 is more about being godly, right? Being righteous, administering justice and fairness, being a godly person in this world. Verse 4, who can benefit from studying this book?
The inexperienced.
Yeah. The young, the inexperienced, this book is for you. But then what about verse 5?
Continuing education.
Yeah. Yeah, so the person we say who doesn't know anything, the beginner, and then the expert will also increase his learning. And this will be a big theme of Proverbs. What quality will a wise person possess besides just knowing a lot of stuff? According to verse 5, it starts with an H. What quality will he have? Who knows everything?
Only God.
Only God. The wise person is a humble person. I have more to learn, and not just I could learn more things than I do know, so I can be on jeopardy. There's things I don't know that would be very valuable to me if I didn't know. And then, of course, as you live for a while, you think of if I could just remember everything I forgot, which you need to renew that. Verse 6, what can we gain by studying this book?
Understanding of.
Yes,
puzzling
understanding.
things.
Puzzling statements, difficult things, to be able to sort them out in your mind. Spiritually, we had an example this morning, Nicodemus. He didn't really understand what Jesus was talking about. He heard his words, but he didn't know what he really meant. And this is why, again, Proverbs can be a little challenging in a group setting, because you can take one proverb that really hits you, and you can be thinking about it for a long time, and how you want to live in view of that, and how you would apply it in your own life. And it provokes other thoughts. And that's really a part of what the Proverbs do. They provoke thinking, and they provoke change, as they address also our sinful nature. So as I said, unbelievers can study the book of Proverbs and benefit from it. But what does Solomon make clear in verse 7? What must we possess in order for this book to really be a blessing?
Fear of the Lord.
Fear of the Lord. And our biblical definition of fear of the Lord is not just shaking in your boots, God's going to get me. It's awe, it's respect. I want to do what he wants me to do. So it's a more well-rounded definition of the word fear than we generally use the word. What type of person will not benefit from this book in verse 7? Stubborn fools.
The other were hubris.
Yeah. We are introduced to, there's some themes that run through Proverbs, and one is the wise person versus the fool. And we'll also meet the gullible, or previous translations, simple person. So there's degrees, but there's definitely going to be the wise versus the fools. They can't learn. Why not?
They're stubborn.
I don't think they have anything to learn.
Yes. They already know what there is to know that would be of any value to them, and they don't like to listen. This is what Ecclesiastes brings out. Solomon, Ecclesiastes. When you go near to the house of God, go near to listen, not to offer the sacrifice of fools who don't know what they do wrong, because they're just talking all the time. They don't want to listen. You learn by listening, not by talking. And so they despise wisdom and discipline. They see no value in it, they reject it, and so they will not learn anything from it. Next page, listen to my son, to your father's discipline, and do not forsake your mother's teaching, because they are a garland of grace for your head, they are jewelry for your neck. Think of these verses in the context of the fourth commandment. What will the fear of the Lord lead us to do? In verses 8 and 9.
Listen.
Be a listener of your parents. Not just listening. End of verse 8.
I do.
Yeah, don't forsake it. What does it mean to forsake something?
Throw it out the window.
Yeah,
like
rejection. That's what I'm not going to do. That is what I don't value. So what is the fourth commandment? Honor your father and your mother. Here, God has set up the institution of the family. And the father and mother are in the positions of authority over the children. That's the way God set it up. And so, of course, there's exceptions, but if we follow God's plan for human beings, what happens? When children listen to their parents, what happens?
They have an easier life.
Yeah, good things. Good things happen. I know more than you. I exert my authority. We're just not going to do that because I said so. And someday you'll be able to understand. Or I'm not going to let you learn from experience by putting your finger in the flame of the stovetop. I'm just not going to do that. So those kinds of things. So if you do that, you listen. And again, listening is not just waiting for your turn to talk. It's really taking it in. And you don't reject it. How's it that pictured in verse 9? Why, this is part of the culture. Why would somebody put a garland of leaves around their head?
That meant they won the prize.
Yeah, that was a big part of it. It meant that they had achieved a victory of some sort, and they're being honored for that. So this is an honor to you. And, of course, jewelry is not so much for honor, but for decoration. You look good when you wear jewelry. And so your parents' teaching will help you live well, be successful, and look good, be happy in your life. And again, an unbeliever can look at that and get wisdom from it, but a Christian knows the fourth commandment, knows this is the way God set things up, and it works when we follow it. These will be the results, and they're quite generous, aren't they? They're very significant results. Flipping it around, though, what is God saying to parents in this verse?
Teach your kids.
Yeah.
Hold them accountable.
Yeah, you are a teacher. And so be that person that God calls parents to be in the fourth commandment. Your children love you. Of course they love you. That's the nature of things. They also need to respect you. Otherwise you lose your ability to teach. Verse 10, here we have an example. My son, if sinners lure you, NIV translation was entice, the same thing. Do not go along with them. If they say, come with us, let's lie in wait to shed blood. Let's hide and ambush an innocent person for no reason. We will swallow them whole like those who go down to the pit. We will find all kinds of wealth and treasure. We will fill our houses with loot. Cast your lot with us. We will all share one bag of money. Why do we need this warning? Well, what does it mean to lure? Think of fishing.
Trap.
Yeah.
It's enticing to you
Yeah.
for a reason.
Yeah. You're giving the fish the impression that this is food. This would be good for me. When really, of course, it's a trap. And it's not good for you at all to get caught. Unless it's catch and release, of course. But even then, it wouldn't be fun for the fish. You're going to get eaten. So it's presented one way, but it's actually the opposite. And this, of course, indicates that we are lureable, aren't we? We fall for this stuff, basically. So we need this warning. How does Solomon tell us to respond?
You gotta go along.
Don't go with them. Don't go with them. So like a person will say, well, I didn't take a gun and rob the bank, I just drove the car. Well, you still got caught and you still face consequences. You are putting yourself in the hands of sinners. How's that going to work out well? Think about these things. So again, what does this say about us is that we are able to be lured, enticed. Jesus, of course, used the word deceived because we have a sinful nature. Why do we fall into this? Why do we get in this kind of trouble? Well, verse 11. Look at their presentation. And as you do so, as we will, think of the very first temptation. the serpent coming to Eve and Adam. Verse 11. What are they luring him to do? They say, come with us. Why is that attractive to humans?
Because you're being included.
Yeah, be a part of something. Don't be yourself. Be a part of something. This is human nature. We want to be part of a group. Let's just attack somebody for no reason. Considering the rest of the verses, is that really the case? No. You're robbing them. It's not for no reason whatsoever. Why do it? Now, of course, you're attacking someone. You want to kill them. Seems like there would be some risk and danger involved there, right? Well, verse 12. Are there any risks? According to the sinner, are there any risks?
Oh, no, not
No. It's one person. We're all going to overwhelm them. It's a done deal. It's just going to happen. No risks. And what are the rewards? In verses 13 to 14.
Say whatever you want.
Yeah. Oh. So we're going to overwhelm this person. They won't stand a chance. And they're going to have all kinds of money, apparently. You know. And we are going to fill our houses with loot. We are going to share one bag of money. Well, how likely is it that if sinners are willing to kill people to take their stuff, that they're going to want to share in a communist setting with other like-minded people?
They're just smart to kill all their cohorts.
Yeah.
Take it all.
Yeah.
That's how that story goes. So that's just totally unrealistic. So they're painting this picture that is under analysis. It just is ridiculous. But yet, it's appealing. Because we're sinners. So you compare this example of this temptation with the very first temptation. You know, what did the devil say to Eve when she said, we're not supposed to eat from that tree? What did the devil say?
God didn't say that.
Yeah. Don't listen to him. Listen to me. Follow me. You're not going to die. What's really going to happen is you're going to be like God, knowing good and evil. So there's no risk, and there's this gigantic reward. That's the nature of temptation. And when we're tempted, of course, the reality is it's appealing to the sinful nature. That's what's going on. But we think in our minds like, well, I know other people got in trouble or whatever, but it won't happen to me. I'm different. And that's not how it works. So every temptation is just like the first temptation. Adam and Eve weren't tackled by the devil. He didn't hold their nose and stuff fruit in their mouth. He talked them into doing what they wanted to do. We can't get away from that because we have a sinful nature. Now the reality, next page, verse 15. My son, do not walk along the road with them. Do not set foot on their path, because their feet run to do evil, and they hurry to shed blood. How useless to spread a net in the sight of any bird. Yet they set an ambush for their own blood. They hide in ambush to take their own lives. This is where the path leads for everyone who is greedy for stolen property. It takes away the life of those who possess it. So how do you resist such offers? Having the great appeal that they do to the sinful nature? Verses 15 and 16. If you choose their path, what are you really choosing? Evil. Evil. And so for the Christian, this is where the Ten Commandments come in, right? If I, and as the Catechism indicates, the commandments, they guide us, but they also protect us. So I'm drawn to this proposition, and there's reasons for that. But the seventh commandment says, "You shall not steal." I'm going to obey God, even though I haven't thought it all out. I'm just going to do it God's way. That's very helpful. The commandments protect us. Great example for the sixth commandment is David, right? It wasn't sinful to be attracted to Bathsheba until he coveted her, until he found out what? She was married. Sixth commandment, off limits to me, but that did not stop him, see? And if he would have turned away, he would have spared him many consequences in his life. They are sinners, so what they're going to do is evil. Their solution for everything is some form of evil. They shed blood. Fifth commandment again. How useless it is to spread a net in the sight of any bird. What's the picture there according to verse 18? If you choose their path, you're really choosing
You're choosing death.
Yeah. Yeah. You think you're setting traps for other people. You've really trapped yourself. And, there's getting caught, of course, but even if you don't get caught, it's affecting your way of life and, of course, your relationship with God. You're ruining your own life by living this way. That's the reality of the situation. What do we need to keep in mind so that we don't give in to the enticements of verses 11 to 14?
Observe verse 8 and verse 9.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Every path has a destination, doesn't it? And if you follow the path of greed, it leads to death. It takes away your life. The old saying goes, if you didn't want to go to Chicago, why'd you get on the train? Every path has a destination. And this is the destination of greed and defying God's laws. But the sinful nature has a problem with this, a disconnect between, well, I made these kind of decisions, but I wanted these kinds of results. And you don't see the connection. That you sow what you reap what you sow. But that's the way the sinful nature is. Well, isn't there another way, or ways that we could acquire wealth? We're assuming these are all young men. Is this the only way to acquire wealth? What would be other ways? Inheritance. And work. So what's really going on here?
You don't want to work.
We could use our brains, we could work hard and smart, perhaps become very successful, maybe just food and clothing, but we don't want to do that because that's hard and that takes time. That's what's really going on here. We want to capture the consequences of somebody else's work. We want to let them do that, and we just want to enjoy it. That's what's really going on here. But they paint it as this wonderful camaraderie of brothers, and living a communal lifestyle and all these things. This is the reality of the situation. So again, consider how the fear of the Lord would serve us well in situations such as this one. I really covered that already, that you say, well, I'm attracted to this. Unfortunately, it appeals to me. But God says don't kill and don't steal. And I'm just going to force myself to obey him. And you're going to be better for it. Wisdom's invitation. And the first 9 chapters have a lot to do with simply inviting people to receive wisdom. Be teachable. And teachers know all about this, where they have a student where they can just see them sitting there saying, I dare you to teach me something. They're not receptive at all. And so this is a big part of it. And that's where humility comes in, doesn't it? So wisdom in these sections is personified, as we'll see later in later lessons, as a woman, inviting people to her feast, as we'll see later. Wisdom calls out loudly in the street. In the public square, she raises her voice. At the noisy street corner, she calls out. At the entrances to the city gates, she speaks her words. How long will you gullible people love being gullible? How long will scoffers delight in their scoffing? How long will fools hate knowledge? If you respond to my warning, I will pour out my spirit for you. I will make my words known to you. So the first issue with wisdom is a challenge that we face, I think often in today's world is kind of pictured as the Holy Grail. What's the issue with the Holy Grail? The Holy Grail of this or that.
Unattainable.
Yeah, it's out there somewhere, but it's a needle in the haystack. You can never find it. You'll never find it, but wouldn't it be great if you did? This is just the opposite, isn't it? You're walking down the street. Who doesn't walk down the street? Who doesn't go through the city square? I mean, or go through the gates? It's just everywhere. It's easily accessible to you. It's out there. But the streets are noisy, aren't they? You're hearing a lot of other things too. Are you going to listen to wisdom? So the answer to the first question is yes. Can we find it? That's an excuse that we use to say that's just going to be too hard. So I'm not even going to try. Oh yeah, it's right in front of your face, basically, is what wisdom is saying here. Verse 2, what sales technique is wisdom using in this verse?
Gullibility,
Yeah. Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah. How long will you gullible people love being gullible? It's hard to sell something to somebody who doesn't see a need for the product, right? And wisdom points out right here, you love it, but it's not good just because you love it. We even have a saying or proverb like that. We don't know what we like, but we like what we know. We get used to the way things are. There's more, of course, going on here. How long are you going to live this way? You continue to hate knowledge. You delight in scoffing. And of course, the implication there is you see the results of that in your life. Is there a different way to live? Of course there is. Verse 23. How will wisdom respond if we accept her invitation?
The Spirit will help you
Yeah.
if you accept the invitation.
Yes. Yes, so there's a spiritual thought here, isn't it? I'm not good at book learning, some excuse like that. God's going to do his part. You're going to understand this, and it's going to be a blessing to you. So what wisdom is doing in this section, in these chapters, is just simply taking away every excuse that we'll come up with. And we have many. Another sales technique is, boy, if you don't buy this, you're going to be sorry. Some way of saying that. You're going to be sorry. That comes through very strongly in the next verses. Because I called, but you refused to listen. Because I stretched out my hand, but no one paid attention. Because you ignored all my advice, and you did not accept my warning. Therefore, I will laugh at your calamity. I will jeer when terror strikes you. When terror strikes you like a violent storm. When calamity strikes you like a windstorm. When trouble and distress come upon you. Then they will call to me, but I will not answer. They will look for me, but they will not find me. Because they hated knowledge, and they did not choose the fear of the Lord. They would not accept my advice, then they despised all my warnings. So they will eat the fruit of their own way, and they will be stuffed with their own schemes. Therefore, the wandering ways of the gullible will kill them, and the complacency of fools destroys them. But whoever listens to me will live in safety. He will be secure without fear of evil. So it seems like you've got a pictured wisdom here with one kind, loving, embracing face, but then also dark, vindictive, mean-spirited. You rejected me, you're going to get it. What is going on here? Well, first of all, what will happen if we continue to ignore wisdom's invitation?
It'd be the price.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're going to pay the price. And so why is wisdom so mean-spirited, or is she? Well, what's the point of verse 25? And it really fits with verse 28.
A choice was made. And they
The
chose
choice
to-
is made,
Yeah, they chose to ignore.
the consequences come, and then the light goes on.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have done it that way. But
Too late.
it's too late. This is about timing. Wisdom has a place. When you use it at the right time, it's very beneficial. But you learn about the right way to do something after you've done it the wrong way already, you're already in the consequences. Perhaps the greatest example would be Judgment Day, right? Everyone will know the Lord. They'll recognize him for who he is. But it's too late if you're not already a believer. So it's about timing. You need to apply the wisdom at the right time for it to be beneficial to you. And this is true personally, but also when other people see what you chose to do and how it turned out, what might they do when they see you make a mess of something? They might mock you, right? Make fun of you and point out the obvious, hindsight, which is worthless, right? It's only beneficial if you're in the same situation in the future. So what wisdom is saying, now is the right time, because you're going to be in these situations and you need this. If you don't have it, you are going to pay. There's going to be consequences. And then the wisdom doesn't help you anymore. Verses 31 and 32. Why is wisdom so mean-spirited? But not really.
Logical consequence.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll eat the fruit of the tree that you planted and the fruit that grew. You're going to have to live with it. Again, we have a saying like, you made your bed, now lie in it. And again, at that point, the wisdom that could have blessed you now doesn't. It just reminds you of your foolishness, is what it does. On the other hand, verse 33, what did wisdom want for us? Safety, security. That's what wisdom wanted, but the person refused, and now they're experiencing these consequences, and wisdom still wants to provide that. So, what does listen mean in this verse, and really this section of verses, and really the book of Proverbs?
Follows.
Yeah, it's not just hearing it and saying, I heard that. It's doing it, following it. That's the key thing. As I said, we're studying this Bible studies done from a spiritual perspective. And so, what are the two main teachings of the Bible as a whole? We got the two divisions, Old Testament, New Testament. We got two main teachings. Law and gospel. Law and gospel. Which category does the book of Proverbs fall under? Law. It's a book of law. And the law can show us our sin. It can control somewhat the behavior of people. And it can show us how to live to glorify God. And so as a Christian, we want to do that. We want to glorify God. And so that's our perspective as we study the book of Proverbs. As we just saw, according to the law, if you sin, what do you get? Yeah, death and punishment, judgment. There's no recourse. But what about according to the gospel? Yeah, you're forgiven. Forgiveness of sins and all that comes with it. So as a Christian, law and gospel, as we study this, if we've been around a while, we'll learn some truths and we'll look back at the past and do what? Boy, did I mess that up. I sinned. And not just messed it up, I sinned. But we also live in the gospel, don't we? And what that frees us up to do is to learn and say, I'm going to grow from this because I'm forgiven. So we do need to keep that in mind. So what motivates me as a sinner saint to listen to these proverbs and put them into practice in my life? Why choose to obey these proverbs instead of doing what I think is right? And that's the way of the sinful nature. It's right because I thought of it. Well, what about the sinner? What would motivate the sinner to read the Proverbs and say, yeah, I'm going to do that?
Fear and love.
Yeah, if you're not a believer.
Oh, if you're not blue, just because it It'll make your life easier.
Yeah, there are temporal blessings that come from this wisdom. I can do better in life if I live this way, picking and choosing. So there is some value there. But what about the saints? Why do what these proverbs say instead of what I think I should do?
Pleases God.
Huh?
Pleases God.
Yeah, I want to please God. I want to glorify God in my life. When I teach the Ten Commandments, I would say, how long do you think you're going to live? And usually confirmation kids don't like that question. And we don't know if we'll see tomorrow, do we? But when you study the Ten Commandments, think of yourself as living to 110. That's a great way to do it, because the sinful nature is always about right now. Forget about the future. Just make decisions about right now. The Ten Commandments, when we obey them, they cause us problems. And they do. They cause problems in this life, temporarily. But over the long haul, you see the blessings that come from it. And so, ridiculous proverb or phrase that people say to young people. What? Sow your wild oats
While you're young.
while you're young. That's not a biblical statement, is it? Why? So I can then have a lifetime of regret? What's the point of that? I know what they mean. You make your mistakes while you're young. You have time to correct them and stuff, learn from them. But the Christian says, no, I want to live God's way all the time. And so that's the blessing that we are looking for as sinner saints as we study the book of Proverbs. And next time we'll begin with the first commandment. Look at those Proverbs. Any questions or comments? If not, we'll close with prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the book of Proverbs. We know that you've given it to us as a gift to use in order to be blessed in this life and to be a blessing to others and to represent you well in this world. We ask you to accept the challenges that these Proverbs will present to us and lead us to grow in our ability to glorify you. We ask for this in Jesus' name. Amen.